Yeah, hi.
So, for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, can you just introduce yourself?
Myself, Minu Thomas. I'm working in Sunlight Industries Limited. We are a spice extracts manufacturing company. So our main business is in spice oils and oleoresins, and mainly into exports. Recently, we have started domestic marketing, focusing also, and have come up with kitchen treasures as one of our B2C products. Till now, our business was more into B2B, and now we are entering into the B2C. So, as far as my experience is concerned, I have 22 years of experience in the industry, and only with Sunlight, that is one of the peculiarity might be, we don't find much IT people with sticking on to one company alone. People shift from one company to another very soon. But in my case, all these 22 years, I've joined Sunlight as a very lower level staff as junior executive and has grown along with the company. And I've worked only with Sunlight. So that is one of the peculiarities in my profession, I think. I have rarely met people who have grown along with the company in the same way. So 22 years. In this 22 years, my 4 years was into production planning and inventory controlling because it was a conscious decision taken by the management. As I was long years in the company, they felt that if I know business and I learned business, it could add value to the organization. So I was given an opportunity to work in production planning and controlling for 4 years, which is the crux of the business. So that gave me a lot of opportunity to learn business. So that's about Sunlight. Our main office is in Cochin, and we have manufacturing units almost in all countries, all states in South India, and we have international locations in China, Brazil, USA, and all. Coming to my family, my husband is an electronics and communication engineer, and he is in the teaching field. I have two sons, one in the second year of engineering and the second in the 10th standard completed. That's about my family.
Super. So, you've been in this organization for so long now. Right now, you're the CIO or heading IT there. So, how do you define your role as a CIO?
See, what I've earlier when we implemented SAP, company had a rethinking whether we should really outsource IT because normally IT is not the core process of the company, so it can be easily outsourced also. So we had looked into options whether we should outsource the core IT process to outside company like IBM or so. But what we really found is a difference in having in-house resource is the business knowledge. Okay, so as a CIO, everybody should be able will be able to add value only when they know business well. That's where I find I am able to add more value to Sunlight from the technology perspective. Because earlier, before SAP came, it was our in-house ERP, and we had done the entire programming in-house. So that gave me an opportunity to go into each and every processes in depth, study the process, program it, and give a in-house developed ERP to the user. But that opportunity is not there now because a base ERP is in place, and people coming in is only getting an opportunity to look into the issues which they are facing, the user is facing. So it's not giving them a core business process knowledge as of now. So as a CIO, we should be really understanding the business and then give technology which will be adding value to business. There are lots of solutions in the market, but more than that, what benefits to the organization should be understood by the CIO, and that should be driven to the process leaders and got it implemented. That's what I feel should be the real role of CIO. So in that means, with that vision only, company gave me a business exposure also, because after that I felt in my thinking, in my process, the way I look at the process, everything changed after I learned the business, and I was a business user for 4 years. So earlier, before that, our thought process, how we interact with the business user was different, and now how I talk to them or how I provide technology to them is different after learning the business. So CIO should be not only a technology person, he should know both technology and business.
So if you can give an example of how the change has happened in terms of, you know, how do you work with or how do you provide technology solutions to your business now that you have more than 4+ years of experience of having been part of a business?
See, earlier we were too much dependent on the business leaders. Many a times what happens is business leaders have lots of issues which can be solved by technology, but they don't know that it can be solved by technology, and they might not even request us. There is a problem. How can we handle it with technology? So after I moving to planning, I found that there are so many business challenges which can be permanently solved by technology, and that gave me a lot of insight into what all I should be implementing for the next 3 to 4 years. And in that phase, I have phased out certain processes which is to be implemented, and many a times, as I know the business, the acceptance of the business leader is much better prior to me in planning, because at the time they will say, no, you all don't know business, this is a particular requirement of the business. But now, as I know business, many a times the acceptance is much better when I give them some solutions. So in that way, lots of changes happened in viewing how technology should be used in business after gaining the exposure of business.
Super. So you mentioned that, you know, it is your responsibility to not only understand business but also find technology that actually can benefit the business, right? So what are the top 3 trends that you're following right now and think that can add the most value to your business?
Currently, mobility is major going on. And earlier, SAP, as you know, it's not a very user-friendly interface. We were able to get people work in SAP even with not a user-friendly interface. But nowadays, as young generation is more into mobiles, they are not very convenient in working in this SAP screens. So we should give them transactions at their mobiles or at their tabs, so that they can do their processes at their ease at any point of time. So mobility is one of the trends which I am closely following, and we are in the process of implementing Fury also to make use of SAP's technology of introducing more and more mobile apps. So for that we had upgraded the EHP to the latest version, and Fury implementation is going on for the mobility part. Another area is analytics, because even SAP, we have SAP Business Intelligence, SAP Business Objects. Still, certain analytics we feel there is a gap, because the business owner is not getting real-time analytics at their fingertips so that they could take critical decisions. So in that way, analytics is one of the area which we are closely following. Another area is Internet of Things, IoT, which is a emerging market. Definitely every industry will have lots of areas in which IoT could be utilized. So Synthite is also trying out certain areas where IoT could be utilized better. So these are the 3 trends which we are closely working on right now.
So how do you use IT for increasing the effectiveness of business? Is there any example that you can share with us as to know some IT implementation that you have done, or some IT solution that you have done, or technology solution that you have provided to your company, which has had a significant impact on how business is run?
See, one of the impacts which we found is we released tags to the shop floor. Okay, so lots of information. What we found is that in technology, there mainly SAP is running in the middle segment, like middle management level people is extensively using SAP. But what we found is the shop floor level people and the top segment is not that much utilizing technology because of the interface which is available to them or which is not provided to them. So we found that ultimately the shop floor people is the person who is acting upon any instruction or any business transaction. So they should have visibility on what is to be done for the next maybe some days. Their activities to be done should be visible. So in that way we worked and we introduced tabs to the shop floor so that shop floor people are clearly knowing what are the works which they have to do, perform in the next 2-3 days, which gave them better clarity on what should be done, and it helped them to organize themselves. And it also gave a lot of visibility on time performance. Okay, earlier what was happening is a process order was given to the shop floor. We don't know exactly where the delay happened. So many times we'll see that the process started at this time but ended only by this time. But in between what happened was a vacuum. So we were not able to solve many of the issues due to that. So this was one of the thought process which came to me while I was in planning and which we implemented, which gave a big impact in the timely delivery efficiency of the organization. So that gave a lot of impact, and the shop floor people also feel that they are a bit elevated because they are using technology. Earlier they were using only with machines. Now they have some technology in hand. So they also they are not much educated people. They feel elevated. Oh yeah, we are working with some apps and all. So in that way, it had created a lot of business impact.
Super. So that brings to the flip side of the question, right? Which is, what are some of the challenges that you see in the recent future or in the mid-term future when it comes to technology being implemented in your organization or adopted in your organization?
Adoption is always a challenge in any technology. Implementation is the easier part, but most of the time adoption is the difficult part. So as the company organization is growing, reaching out to everyone and getting a successful adoption is always a challenge. Many a times a massive effect, an implementation which is affecting the masses, it's very difficult to measure the adoption or to get the adoption to the maximum level. Like if I'm telling SAP, to some extent adoption is easier because we can put some controls and measures in that, because without that they can't take an invoice or something. So with some controls is there, so they have to go through that. But there are certain systems like enterprise content management and all, which we are bringing in to have a process of full digitalization. We are moving out of paper and having all documents in the digital form. Certain things we find that it's a challenge to bring that culture into the organization. They were very comfortable in handling everything in the system in an unorganized way. Now we are expecting them to be properly organized and everything in the enterprise content management. Such things, adoption is always a challenge. So going forward, more and more technologies will be in place, and to keep even SAP, many a times we have to continuously monitor whether the reports are properly utilized and all those effect is properly done. So adoption is one of the challenges which I feel it's going forward a threat, because our user base is increasing.
Interesting. So let's shift tracks a little bit. So there is a lot of talk about the buying centers in organizations moving from IT to business. So there's also this talk about CMOs spending more on IT than the IT heads themselves. So is this something that you're seeing in your organization as well? And if so, how are the decisions being made today?
See, now decisions are made by IT heads only, but more of the involvement from the business function heads also have increased a lot compared to previous years. Previous years it was like they don't know what all is available in the market. We say this is the product which we have to implement, and we implement and get it done. Nowadays they also have their own preferences, and because now from children onwards they know more. Technology is very much known to everyone. So it's not only the IT head's job, they also know what all is beneficial for the business, and along with them we are actually it's a partnering job. It's not a support function, it's a partnering job. We are partnering with them and implementing. The decisions are still made by the IT heads, but there is a lot of acceptance taken from the function heads prior taking the decision. So they are also involved in the demos conducted. They are also involved in the site visits we do, and that involvement process has improved a lot compared to previous years.
Yeah, so, but still the final decision is taken by the IT, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, super. So let's again shift tracks. Let's come back and talk about Indus. And so how do you see Indus being part of your daily business affair for whatever it is that Indus is helpful for you?
See, when we implemented SAP in 2000, we were looking out in 2007-8. At the time in Kerala, the number of SAP implementations was very less. So we had lots of questions in our mind, and we struggled to get answers for many of the questions. Because from SAP side, even though they are ready to answer all those things, for us to get convinced, it's always better to get a user feel. So at that time we struggled to get proper convincing answers from the user group. At that time, that active.
Hello? Can't hear you, Minu. Yes, please.
On Indus, when we started SAP implementation or planned for SAP implementation earlier, we didn't have much of the companies in Kerala who have implemented SAP. So at that time, we had lots of questions in our mind to get answered from especially a user group. In that case, we had lots of issues to get a right user base answers at point of time. BPCL was one of the points where we got many of our queries answered, because they were very close by to us. So at that point of time, we really felt a need of a group wherein which many, as SAP is a big solution, we should have a group wherein which people can share their experiences each other, so that the confidence of the user base is improved compared to rather than working along with SAP alone and looking at the presentations and demonstrations to take a decision. So at that point, we didn't have much of an Indus activity in this area. So now, as Indus is very strong, definitely it is helping user groups to adopt SAP more and more, and that is really visible in the way SAP adoption is going on. In Kerala also, there are lots of companies who have gone into SAP implementation. So Indus is really playing their role to have SAP adoption better, and it's helping users to get many of their queries answered.
Interesting. Super. So the next question then comes as, would you actually recommend Indus membership to others? And if yes, why?
See, as one of the board members in Indus, definitely Indus is having more and more activities nowadays. Lots of webinars, meetings, and all is scheduled, and the Indus chapters are also becoming very strong. So definitely, if a company is being an Indus member, they will get lots of thought process which could help the business use SAP better. So definitely SAP Indus membership is a mandatory for any company, and they should join Indus, and in that way they will have lots of peer connections, and they will be having a lot of best experience being an Indus member. So the chapter is doing very well, and people are connected much better rather than earlier nowadays. So Indus membership should be a mandatory requirement for all companies.
Super. So last question before we kind of wind up. What are your expectations from Indus as a customer member?
See, like when we visited Germany also as part of the Indus board members, Indus was able to voice out many of the issues which medium level company in India is facing. Many of the companies might not have that much budget leisure to adopt many of the things which SAP is bringing out. So Indus should be having that also in their mind, having the low level companies also utilize best solutions better, and in that way help to raise many points which they face to the SAP and get it solved, which Indus is definitely doing. So that should be more and more done, so that many companies who's not having a big budget at their disposal could also utilize better technologies. So in that way, this could work more and more in that field.
Super. So thanks a lot for taking time and sharing your thoughts with us, Minu. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mukesh and Ajitesh.